Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to this edition of Balance in Life. We are super excited to welcome you. If it's your first time, we're so happy to have you here. If you are a regular attender of Balance in Life, we're happy to have you here as well. I am Crystal Tyler Mackey, welcoming you on behalf of the Virginia Cooperative Extension Human Development Program team and our webinar partners with the series North Carolina Cooperative Extension. Today, we're going to talk about something that a lot of people have been concerned about all year, all summers, but this one in particular, and that is, are our children, subject to learning loss? And what does that look like and how can we prevent it? So who better to talk to us about this but an elementary school principal? So we're happy to have Dr. Tori Gelbert here to talk us through some ways we can do this. And, as she and I were talking yesterday, I appreciated the lift up that it has to be fun, right? It is summer after all, it's still summer break. So as we dive into the conversation, we invite you to post your thoughts, questions, comments in the chat. Bethany and I will be moderating that chat box for you. And a reminder or a point of information, this platform is a Zoom webinar platform. So what that looks like for you is that in the chat box, if you do nothing and you type something, the only people who will be able to see your response are Dr. Gelbert, Bethany, and myself. If you want others to see your question, your thoughts, your comments, which we hope you do, then just click the drop-down menu and post to all panelists and attendees so that we can all engage in that conversation together. But having said that, I am going to yield the floor to our fabulous speaker. Welcome to Balance in Life.
Thank you. Let me go ahead and share. Are you able to see everything, Crystal? Thumbs up. Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. Just a little bit about myself. I have over a decade in education. I have had the pleasure of teaching both at the elementary and middle school levels. Like Crystal said, I'm currently a school principal in a K-5 elementary school setting. I wrote and published a children's book, The Giraffe Who Loves School, tailored to students that are struggling in school. And just something that I like to throw out there because I think it's important. I personally struggled as a student. So any of the suggestions or ideas that I post that I'll give you guys today could be used for a wide range of student skills. It could be from younger elementary to middle or tailored to even high school. And it could be for students that struggle or students that excel in school. So what is summer learning loss? So every year following a typical school year, students experience the summer slide. As you saw on my first page, I had a water slide since it is summer, but we like to call that the summer slide or summer learning loss. So in every state, every division, the state gives us a curriculum that the schools are supposed to teach for that year. And we teach that curriculum. And in the spring, when students leave for the summer, when they come back in the fall, we notice a learning loss, and teachers spend between 4 to 6 weeks reviewing skills that students learned the previous year. So following a COVID year, we are expecting that students will still experience that summer learning loss on top of, here in Virginia, our Department of Education is calling unfinished learning. So this is all the material that wasn't covered. So that, again, the state gives us that curriculum. We obviously were not able to teach everything this year due to the minimized in-person schooling. So we have that unfinished learning and that summer learning loss. So it's really important this year to make sure that we're doing lots of stuff at home for all the kids in our lives. So if you're a parent and you have children, or if you're a grandparent and you have grandchildren, or you're a neighbor, or you're a babysitter, hopefully all these tips and ideas that I share today will be helpful for any of the children in your lives. I know here in Culpeper County, where I am, we are really focusing on our summer school program to help attack this before we get to the fall. So hopefully where you are, your school systems are kind of doing the same and doing things this summer to help you guys as well. So what can you do at home? Like Crystal said, my number one rule is to have fun. If I am bored, they are bored. I will never forget my first year teaching. I did a lesson and halfway through, I was like, oh my goodness, like I am bored. And I had to stop. I said, okay, we're stopping. We got to do something else. So and it's summer. So if you're bored, they're bored. So we have to do something fun, especially if we're going to be doing educational things this summer. To start off, I kind of put some reading activities that I thought would be good for the summer. The number one thing is to read anything. In order for students to become better readers, they just need to read. So set aside some time for reading, and this could be anything. I think sometimes we think it has to be books, but it doesn't just have to be books. It could be comics, short stories, newspapers. Again, it could be anything. And definitely tailor what they're reading to the children's likes and interests. So definitely visit the local library, check out some books or short stories that are to the children in your lives' interest. That's going to be really important. I think it's also important to model reading. So this could look like reading while they're reading or reading aloud to them. Like I said, I have taught elementary and middle school, and I promise it does not matter the age. Kids love to hear adults reading to them. They love hearing us get into the characters, use our voices, talk silly voices. Kids love it no matter their age. Even eighth graders, when I would read to them, they would love having someone read to them. But I am also a parent. So when I say read while they're reading, I am cognizant to knowing that that can't always happen. So I know in my home, sometimes I'll be cooking dinner and I'll say, why don't you guys go read? So modeling reading could look like if you are reading, having a book next to your bed so they can see that you're reading, even if it's not necessarily when they are reading. And definitely ask them questions about what they're reading. Who are the main characters? What's happening in your story? What do you think will happen next? And I love here at my school, one of the things that we do is we put signs outside every teacher's classroom that says, what are we currently reading? And the teachers put what they're reading. And it's really amazing when you have that conversation with children, what are you reading? Who are the characters? They will ask you as well. So I always put a kid's book that I'm reading and I'll recommend them to kids. So kids, if you ask them the questions, they will ask you the questions, and that can be a good conversation about reading. Some writing activities for this summer could be as simple as journaling. If you're doing a day trip or if you are able to go on vacation or just go anywhere, you could ask your children or kids in your lives to write a journal entry about what they did. You could encourage them to write postcards to family members that don't live nearby. They could keep a diary. Pen pals, this could be a handwritten letter, or it could also be a typing activity. They could be sending an email, especially with in today's age, I think teaching typing is really important and the kids knowing how to type. So they could write an email to a friend or family member. And something I love to encourage is just story writing, having them pre-write a story, thinking of ideas, writing ideas down, coming up with characters, drawing pictures, and writing a story. I think that's amazing and something that kids love to do. And they will love it if you read their story and continue to encourage them. And the last summer reading activity I have is just if you are going to watch TV at home or watch a special movie at home, put the caption on. Even students or children that don't know how to read yet, they are attuned to those words going across the screen. So they are getting used to that like what we speak words have words attached to them. So that's a good way of just getting them to realize that. Crystal, how's the chat going before I move on to math?
I think we're good. Some people were posting different thoughts about some of the things that they've done. Bethany was sharing that her daughter had really gotten into graphic novels, right, reading in different ways. And I also shared in there that my 10-year-old daughter, one of her friends wrote and mailed letters to all of her friends, and just to see the delight of my daughter in receiving that letter was really good. And some good ideas coming up, things we hadn't even thought about before. Some are posting about journaling and how to make journaling fun and yeah, how that can improve your writing skills as well. So
yeah. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm reading while they're really
yeah.
good ideas. Yeah. Thank you. For math, so I am definitely a lover of math. I try to condense it because I could go on and on and on about summer math activities. But I think this is really important, is just the counting. So this could be anything. Now, my poor children, I was trained as a teacher, so anytime anything's involved, I always am asking them questions that seem to relate to education. So, I feel bad for them. So maybe not all the time, but, you could have them counting something as easy as laundry. So if they're helping you fold laundry, you could say, oh, how many shirts are in that pile? Sometimes it's nice to throw in questions that they don't really realize is learning, like, oh, how many, if you're going to the grocery store, you could say, how many mac and cheese boxes do we have left in the pantry? And they go to the pantry and they count them. So again, they're counting and they're keeping their number sense going, but they don't necessarily realize that's what they're doing. And then, if you go on vacation or if you're at the beach, you could have them count seashells, or really just counting anything is a really good summer activity. Practice math facts. This could be addition, subtraction, multiplication. If you have children in your lives that are third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, that multiplication fact fluency is going to be really important for them to be successful in math and be able to recall those math facts. So just having them practice those skills. If I'm reading a book with my son who's 4 and there's 5 butterflies on the picture, I'll be like, oh, there's 5 butterflies on the picture. If 2 of them flew away, how many butterflies would remain? So you could, if you are reading something, you could bring in math that way. Any family games. I love family games. Anything with die, help them if they roll the dice and they have to move spaces, that's counting. Cards, anything with cards. I went to the local dollar store and got this little game. It has animals on the back. They could play war, which is comparing numbers. They could have to find matches. They could play solitaire, so they have to know the order of numbers. So anything with cards or dice are really good and help them keep their brain going. But really any family games are going to be awesome in the summer. Anytime that they're doing strategy, the real life skills of learning to lose, all of those things are great practice and things for them to do. The other amazing place to practice math is the grocery store. Like I said, I am cognizant that taking my kids to the grocery store means that my bill is going to be more than I want it to be, because they will sneak things in that cart. But it is a great place to practice math skills. And again, you'll have to tailor it depending on their age. So fifth grade, middle school, high school kids will be able to estimate using decimals, whereas younger children will not be able to. So when we talk about estimating, maybe just using the dollar amount, not necessarily looking at the cents, but having them estimate, is this price closer to $6 or $5? Having them add prices. You could have them, depending on their age, sit in the cart with a calculator and you could tell them what you're getting and they add the prices. Or you could even give them a budget. You have you can get treats up to $5, but you have to keep track of that. So all of that's really great for math. Calendar and time practice is also going to be really amazing. Practicing days of the weeks and time. So in my home, like if my child will say, what time is dinner? If I have an analog clock, I might say, well, dinner will be when the big hand gets on the 8. What time will that be? And putting that back on them. So we all know children ask a lot of questions all day long, especially in the summer when they're home all the time, but putting questions back on them. So what time is dinner? Will be when the big hand gets to the 8. What time will it be then? Or talking about elapsed time. We will go outside in 20 minutes. What time will that be? So those are really great things to practice in the summer. And then calculator play. Just giving a student a calculator is an amazing activity for them. They can punch in different math facts, and it's just that repetition. And as they get older, they will be able to use the calculator in math classes. So getting them familiar with the calculator is a great tool and a great thing for the summer. Some multi-subject learning activities that kind of bring in everything. Cooking is amazing. It can bring in lots of different things. The children can read the recipe. You can be measuring items, having them practice fractions. So, you know, if a recipe calls for a half a teaspoon, maybe give your child a fourth of a teaspoon and say, oh, the half a teaspoon's in the dishwasher. We only have the fourth of a teaspoon. How many of these do we need? So again, it's that bringing it in naturally and making it fun. I'm also cognizant that sometimes you don't want a mess in your kitchen. So the reading recipe part is a great option. You know, maybe you read the recipe and I'll do what you tell me. And then, you know, if you're willing to have your house be a little messier that day, then maybe having them help with the measuring the items and making it. And then just driving anywhere in the car is a great opportunity to have them practice some math and reading skills. So children can read the signs. If they're not at reading age, you could have them find letters or numbers. One thing I have learned is don't make it a competition if you have more than one child, because that turns into a big fight. Like they're like, I found A first. So maybe don't do that unless your children are kind to each other. Mine sometimes bicker and argue. But so you could have them doing separate tasks if you're going on a long trip, like maybe writing out the alphabet for one and writing out numbers for the other one, having them find them. If you're driving and you have a road you need to get on, so if I know I need to get on like 522, I might ask my 4-year-old, like, hey, I need to get on 522. Let me know when you see the 5 so I know to turn. So things like that, getting them involved and being cognizant of their surroundings. Counting could also be done in the car, counting flags. So if we're going to the grocery store, I might say, let's see if we can count 10 American flags before we get to the grocery store. Or counting cows when you're going by farms or stores, depending on where you live. Just again, that counting. And another thing could be looking for license plates. If you're going on a long trip, you could look for license plates, and you could even extend it for older kids. So let's say they find a license plate and they have a phone, or they might already know this, but having them look up the capital. So if you see a license plate, you have to say the capital of that state too, to just extend it and take it a little bit further. Before I get on to some resources, Crystal, are there any questions?
There was a question, there's some responses in there, but there was also a question asking about teens. If you could share some strategies for teens.
Yeah, so I think definitely going back to the reading, having them read at the teenage, I think practicing email writing is really important. You could practice balancing a budget. That would be an amazing skill for a teen. I know that was really big, and a skill that we all as adults know, but teens are that's something that they need to learn. So even giving them like a fake little bank account and having them balance a budget, or like I said, giving them a budget when you go to the store and having them keep track. Definitely the calculator, especially in high school. They have those like TI-89 pluses. They're very intensive calculators, not like this little calculator. So having them play around with that, pressing the different buttons, you know, practicing skills like that's really important. And like I said, when you're in the car, the license plate and doing capitals, that's really important in high school, like being able to know. And you could even extend that to where is the location of that state and see if they have the geography skills and practice things like that. Looking at some free and local resources, I definitely want to give a shout out to all local libraries. I don't want to say all, most local libraries, every local library I know does some sort of kids reading program, and they do also have teens as well. So I would definitely look to your local library to see if they have a summer reading program, because that's really awesome, because you can go to the library, you can, usually it's like a bingo sheet or a checklist, the kids go home, complete it, and then when you return it, usually they give you some sort of prize, like a McDonald's free ice cream, or you know, whatever your local library is doing. But I've seen that kids really like those programs. And also a lot of times in the summer, I'm not sure what every local library is doing this summer because of COVID, but I know our local library is still doing events virtually for young kids and teenagers. They'll do like book reads, they'll do some STEM activities. So definitely I recommend reaching out to your local library and seeing what they're offering this summer. Lowe's, again, I don't know all Lowe's, but I know most Lowe's have the Build and Grow kits. In a normal, not COVID year, I think they do the classes together, but now they're giving the kits away, and those are great. And those could definitely be teens too. I think they did like a birdhouse earlier. So again, it's that measuring, anything with measuring numbers, putting things together. So those could be good for a wide range of ages for kids. And then I did put 2 free websites, ReadWorks and Read Theory. They're free websites that have passages. Now this Read Theory would be a better website for older kids too, because it tailors to students. So it's free. In Read Theory, you get reports of how your child's doing. So you log in and they have activities, they have passages that relate to the kids' interests, and it will tailor to them. And then depending on the age of your child and the location, Dolly Parton has a Imagination Library where they will send free books every month if you have children under the age of 5. So definitely check that out if you do have kids in your lives that are under the age of 5, to see if your area that you live can, if they've partnered with them, because that is another really awesome way just to get free books in your home. Those were all of the things I had. I'll stop sharing, Crystal, to see if there were any other questions, or I'll take a look at the chat.
You all can post your questions in the chat, but also thoughts and ideas that you've seen work. We also are a group that kind of shares out some resources, so certainly post those out there too. And Bethany, you may have spotted something in the chat.
I haven't seen anything yet, Crystal, but I was going to throw out there that now it depends on the locality. I'm in an urban area, so it might be a little easier, but at all of the schools, and so there's like 70 some schools in our system, but also the libraries and the parks, they have these book houses where you can, I forget what they call right now. Tori, you know exactly.
Libraries, yeah.
Yes. And it's awesome because they try really hard to say, you know, at our middle school and high school sites, keep them those age for trading. And then the elementary schools specifically have those. And it is an awesome way. It makes us feel good because, you know, my daughter's kind of transitioned from elementary to middle, and she's still got books laying around. It makes us feel really good to go to her school that she graduated from and put books in there because she still knows some of the younger kids. And so that is a really cool, fun way too. And if there isn't something like that, you know, you can even start it in your neighborhoods. I've seen some of the neighborhoods that have that going too. It might be a really neat thing for you and your kids. If you've got a good network in your neighborhood, it might be something fun to come up with to do this summer.
I love all the things that are in this chat. Like I'm going through, and this is
like
I love the price per pound at the grocery store. That's a great idea. I like the budget. I'm really big on the budget. I think that I have an 8-year-old, and this morning she's like, can we go to the store? Can you give me a budget? Like they know, like they know that they're gonna, if we go to the store and they're gonna get something, they have a budget. Yeah. Target and Amazon have the writing prompt books. That's good. Yeah, I love all these. I think, yeah, really just, like I said, making it fun, putting everything into, you know, asking them questions back, I think is really important. Like I said, we all know kids ask lots of questions all day long, but asking them the questions back and really putting it back on them to kind of incorporate some of the learning into there. Those are some great things that I like to do.
So I was thinking about that, like the making it part of every, you know, what you're doing, because it certainly does seem to shift, right, from the younger ages as you transition and get a little bit older. I mean, some of the application is really, it shifts, right? The things that you can ask them to do and the things that you do. My kids, I guess, you know, educators maybe we have a little way of doing things sometimes. But my girls who are 10 and 12 joke with me, and they're like, Mom, you make an educational program more educational. And I'm like, oh, so do that, guilty as charged. Like it's already educational, and then you ask us questions. which is true. And they know, and they call me out about it and we laugh. But any other ideas and suggestions, like, or any sort of tangible things that, I mean, you all feel free to post in the chat, but also, Bethany and Tori, ideas on, some tangible things that you can do that really do elevate the older youth continuing to want to learn when, maybe they're not thinking it's that fun to, count things and do things. The budget is amazing. So we've started that with some of the budgeting and the reading. My girls usually are pretty avid readers, but I still want to encourage the reading during the summer because it seems like this summer to me, it looks like, especially my 12-year-old seems extra tired this summer, more so than before. And I don't know if it's a 12-year-old thing. I don't know if it's a post-COVID school year. I don't know what it is, but she seems extra tired. So any ideas for motivating and also making it just a part of what you're doing and not feeling like an extra something?
Yeah. I would definitely say fun, right?
Yeah, I would.
Another idea I thought of with the budget, because I know like us as adults, most of our budgets are online now. Like we can see all of our online, but when you get the checks in the mail, it still comes with that budget packet, so you could take that and give it to your kids so they can have something tangible. Because you said something tangible, like that could be something tangible that if you're practicing with the budget, if you don't use that in your home, you could give that to your child to play with and practice that way. That could be something tangible. I definitely say with the reading, definitely books. I mean, like you said, I think that's huge. And the calculator. I mean, I'm such a huge, and I play a deck of, I can't think of that word, a deck of cards, a deck of playing cards. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of what that's called. But yeah, a deck of playing cards is a huge tangible thing that kids can play with that have so many math, no matter what age or level your child is on. Could be great.
Bethany, were you going to share something too? I always want your thoughts as a 4-H agent.
So I was just going to say that also, this summer with everything kind of opening back up, to be on the lookout for festivals and fairs and things like that also will have some opportunities and educational things woven into it, depending on the organizations that are in your community. But there's lots of opportunities here in the Richmond metro area for that. And, it's so that it's you're getting out there and learning maybe about animals or plants or something, and it's hands-on, and it's it doesn't, they're going to want as many of those opportunities, I think, to the burnout, Crystal, and being inside or on screens a lot. And so look out for all of those kinds of opportunities, or turn a trip to the zoo into an opportunity to link that back to what kind of books could we look up at the library to learn more about an animal that your child really sparked or connected to, or something that you could weave math into that, I'm sure, somehow. But to kind of try and pick up on what your kids are passionate about and take them out to explore that, and then connect it back to a book or a learning experience and make it fun. Yeah, and then we'll get away from that burnout a little bit.
That's a great suggestion, Taylor. My 10-year-old has taken to horses, and she keeps asking me if I can find a horse riding camp for her to go to, or something with horse riding. So in the meantime, while we don't have that on the table, she checked out a whole book series on the ponies of Chincoteague and was enjoying that. And she reread Misty of Chincoteague, and she's found this, so for some of her screen time, she's found this horse game where she's taking care of the horse. And so, yeah, that's a good suggestion to think about, how we can theme things and relate them. Any final thoughts as we start to come to a close? Tori, any final words for us?
No, just thank you so much. And I hope you guys just have fun this summer. Like you said, I think everyone's tired. Everyone's kind of worn out this summer. We're excited to start getting back out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just if you're gonna do learning this summer, make it fun and make your children excited for it.
We have to make it fun. I had to jokingly, but not jokingly, tell my husband, I'm so excited because my daughter, my 12-year-old, is excited to go to her accelerated math class. And he's like, oh, you can go to the library and get a math book and start getting ahead. I was like, let's see how well this goes. I'm thinking she needs a break. So maybe not a math book for her, but something that is fun. Thank you for being here with us. thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Lots of things that were posted. I will give a quick shout out to Christian, who noted that he's going to take this information and pass it on to his brother. His brother can be, using some of these tools and techniques at home with kids. So you may not have kids in your home. That may not be who you're working with, but who can you share some good, encouraging, tips and feedback? Little bits help all the way. So having said that, I encourage everyone to have an amazing, great weekend. And we will be back the next time. Won't be this coming weekend because it's the weekend prior to the 4th of July. So we won't be on this Friday, but the following Friday we'll be back on, and we'll have Alan Rasmussen coming on. So hope you all join us again and have a great time between now and then. And maybe my call out for you this time is to find a good book that you would enjoy reading. Take care all and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you.